What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got with
MELO
and RADO. It's a sports podcast where we talk about your favorite sports highlights, sports debates, and sports matchups. And then we have a hell of a matchup. Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 56. I think everyone in the world knows what happened. The Rams won it.
Oh yeah.
Melo, tell me you watched that game.
Of course, of course. I was actually out of town traveling this weekend, and I had to watch that on my train on the way back because I didn't really want to drive. So I actually didn't know I chose Super Bowl weekend to travel back.
Oh, damn.
Um, I'll be honest, I wasn't too worried about a party, but I was glad that if anything, I booked the train at that same time, so I was actually able to watch it on the train. Because if I would have drove, then I definitely would not have been able to watch the game with any
That wouldn't
attention.
have happened. That wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. So definitely still worked out for me. I love the game. It was a great game, and obviously I know you're happy
Oof.
because
It's been
it's amazing. I was about to say the first time we're not even a year in, and one of our teams have already won a chip.
real. I'm so happy for
Hey,
real. Like first year of the podcast. I mean, maybe it's good luck for them since we started this podcast.
hey,
We'll see.
you
We'll
heard
see
that,
about the
Celtics?
Celtics and the NBA. But for now, I mean, we got to give love to the Rams. I've been a fan since early 2000s. Even, I mean,
Mhm.
earlier than that, since Marshall Falk days, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, and now we're won it with guys like Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, OBJ, Von Miller, so
Mhm.
Aaron Donald. So the greatest show on turf is back. That's all I can say. And what a Super Bowl! I mean, it was really an incredible game. Honestly, an incredible playoffs. All the whole NFL playoffs were incredible. And I definitely want to talk to you about the Super Bowl because it was so incredible to watch. I mean, I was definitely scared in a few moments, so I definitely want to chat with you about some of those moments too.
Of course, of course. We obviously uh, previewed the game, made a couple predictions, even made a couple MVP predictions,
True,
which
true.
we both was wrong on.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I did ask you at the end of our podcast if it wasn't a quarterback, who you would pick as MVP, and you did say Cooper Kupp. So
yeah, it
props on
definitely would have
that.
been tough, and obviously he definitely had a great game. But I know, like I said, this is your team, so why don't you go ahead and tell us off? Cincinnati Bengals lost to hometown Los Angeles Rams 23-20. Let
I
us
mean,
know what you think about the game.
who? I mean, to be honest, like I definitely wasn't expecting it to be this close. I know that Las
Mhm.
Vegas had it at 4.5 points going into the game, and a lot of that was because we're playing at home and pretty much our stadium in SoFi Stadium. But I mean, to be honest, we came out hot. We definitely came out hot. My man Matthew Stafford was throwing the ball all over. You could see from the beginning we weren't trying to get the run too much. We had Cam Akers going, like he had a few runs in the first two first downs when they had. It was literally on the first down. They gave him a 2 yard run, nothing. Another 2 yard run, nothing. So what they had to do was start passing the ball. My man OBJ was catching some balls in the first quarter. Obviously, Cooper Kupp had a few targets as well, and Van Jefferson had a nice catch in the first quarter. But I mean, my man OBJ, first quarter came
Uh,
out and scored a touchdown. I mean, beautiful pass too by Stafford. Like that was a really, really, really nice pass. I got to give it to him. Like right in the corner of the end zone, like exactly the only place where he can catch it. I thought it was definitely one of Matthew Stafford's best passes there. Um, Obviously, a few worrisome things happened. In the second quarter, uh, we stopped into a field goal, which was good, but then we started getting injuries, man, and the injuries were happening everywhere. Obviously, the first one that happened was OBJ. He went out there for a catch, and then as he caught the ball, he tweaked his knee. What looked like an ACL injury, and we everyone kind of knew right there, like right when he got on the ground, that ain't no way he's gonna come back in the game even though caught it, but I mean kept the ball, but everyone knew, like they were like, yeah, the knee popped. Even the commentators were saying, yeah, knee popped. He's not coming back in the game. After that, our tight end got injured. Tyler Higbee, he was out of the game after that. So we had to rely on like two guys, Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. I mean, I knew that Matthew Stafford was going to make a few mistakes. I wasn't sure that he was going to make two mistakes, like two interceptions. One of them wasn't his fault. The one he threw to Scandrix. They hit him right in the hands. Like the man should have caught the ball and he should have kept running. He was just looking forward and he had his hands out forward. I mean, his hands in front of him, but he was looking up the field. So he missed the catch, bobbled it, and that was the interception. But the first interception by Stafford was definitely worrisome. You don't want him to throw like coverage like that when you're that covered, especially when a guy's over the top. But he does that from time to time. But I still wasn't worried, to be honest. Like I knew Joe Burrow was going to come back, do some things. They tried to get the ball to Mixon a lot. Cincinnati did in the second quarter, and it kind of worked out for them. They were getting a few first downs. They got the touchdown to T. Higgins, which, I mean, if a lot of people saw that on replay, the long touchdown to T. Higgins in the second quarter when he went over the top against, yep, you already know, and you're holding the face mask, and that's exactly what happened.
Threw
He
my
pretty
man
much
to the ground.
tell me about it. Tell me what you saw about that play. Like that was a terrible play, right?
He definitely threw him to the ground,
Yeah,
and I don't even know how they didn't even call the flag on
I
that. It
know.
was Thursday.
Ridiculous call, but you know what? I mean, the refs weren't calling any penalties the whole game. They didn't up until the fourth quarter. They really weren't calling any penalties. So, I guess it could be considered ticky tacky, but that was kind of clear to me that it was definitely a face mask and it should have been offensive PI. Anyways, Higgins got that long touchdown. They started to come back on us. They were getting a little bit of momentum, but I mean, this all came down to the fourth quarter, honestly. Like, yeah, they came back because of that interception that Stafford threw, and it looked like we weren't moving the ball because we had no, like, literally two guys were on Kupp and everyone else wasn't getting open. So it was tough
Right.
for anyone to get open, but it came down to that fourth quarter. And not just the fourth quarter, the 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Honestly, I was so impressed with that drive at the end by Stafford. It was one of the most impressive drives that I've seen, not just by him, but by any quarterback. Like to have like so many guys, like have your top tight end out, have your top well, I guess your second wide receiver out, plus another your third wide receiver who will be OBJ. Robert Woods was out, OBJ is out. Plus, your running game's not getting you anything. 2 yards a carry the whole game. We had 22 rushes for like 40 yards, something like that, which is ridiculous, like terrible, 44 yards. Uh, Terrible for this type of game for a Super Bowl. You want to be able to like utilize some play action to get people open, but we weren't able to do none of that. And people knew that Stafford was going to pass it. And what did he do in that fourth quarter in the last 6 minutes? He went 4 for 4 to Cooper Kupp. And of course, the most important one was the one in the end zone. He basically gave him an outside shoulder throw, and Cooper Kupp was able to come down with it, made a great catch, and was able to come down with it. There was definitely a few, penalties that led up to that as well, and we could talk about that later. But honestly, that last drive, I'm so impressed by Stafford. And after that, once we actually made the touchdown, and it was the Cincinnati's turn to try to come back, we were up by 23-20, and they had to try to come back to get a field goal. I kind of knew our defense had it, man. I knew that Aaron Donald was not letting it happen. He's not gonna let, he's not gonna let the man try to win it in his own turf in LA, and it wasn't going down like that. And of course, on the third down, they tried to give it to Bernard. He couldn't get in there and get the first down. So on fourth down, Burrow tried to step back. He was it was a broken pocket right from the beginning, pretty much. So he had to like kind of run towards his right, and my man Donald grabbed him, spun out. He tried to make the throw, but you can pretty much consider it a sack. And that was game right there. I mean, Aaron Donald pretty much won us the game. And what a game, man. What'd you think about it, though? I definitely want to know some of your thoughts about the game, too.
I mean, definitely a lot of exciting things about that game. You touched on a few of them. Prolific defense from the Rams, clutch offense from key players from the Rams, and pretty much it was just like you said, you started off hot. Yeah, you took off an early lead, and then with a few mistakes, the Bengals started coming back. But still, at the end of the day, with such an explosive Bengals offense like you had to face, holding them to 305 total yards, 226 passing yards, 79 rushing yards, 3 for 14 on third, 1 for 3 on fourth, and 7 sacks. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And end up being a 23-20 win. You basically take that what took him to the playoffs and through the playoffs was that offense, and he pretty much held it to 20 points. And most of that came in the second quarter, and pretty much after the second quarter, he pretty much held them down all
Right.
game. So I definitely was down. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they say he got cooked at least once or twice, but that's just gonna happen. At the end of the day, they did their job, and they definitely played great football. It was a pretty bad case for Joe Burrows. I mean, you get sacked record-setting 7 times, you just don't get no time in that pocket. And he only threw for 263 yards. Not that bad when it was 22 for 33. So he was still kind of efficient, but there was nowhere to go. At the end of the day, they like to make fun of one or two times Ramsey got cooked, but clearly, if Joe ain't have nowhere to throw it, then your receiver was getting shackled.
Plus, one of them was the offensive PI. So
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's gonna happen once or twice, depending on what type of defensive scheme you call. But for the most part, they held the Bengals key players down when they needed to. At the end of the day,
yeah,
Chase only had 5 receptions for 89 yards,
true.
and a big chunk of that was that one reception that he
Right.
got over Jalen, and same thing for Higgins, 4 for 100, 2 touchdowns. One of them was the one that should have definitely been called back. So definitely the defense did an amazing job. Get to the fourth quarter. It's 2016. Bengals lead, and now the Rams offense has have to step up. At the end of the day, they were lackluster. They made plays where they needed to, but they were lackluster. Obviously, you lose OBJ in the second quarter, but there was definitely a lot more things that they could have done. Like you said, man, Cam Akers, 13 attempts for 21 yards is abysmal. Like that's just straight trash. Yeah, what's going on there? Obviously, Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp gave you 8 receptions for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns, which were obviously good. OBJ gave you 2 for 52, and just it seemed to be he was going to give you a lot more, if he kept staying in that game, obviously. Yeah. But they definitely stepped up where it counted. Chemistry between Kupp and Stafford on that winning series was flawless, like you said. Actually, a lot of people don't even talk about this. Kupp had a 4-yard touchdown on Apple that was taken back by penalties.
He did. I mean, I did look at that play. That's what I did say we were going to talk a little bit about those penalties. And I kind of looked at that was a penalty on both teams, because it was supposedly a touchdown. Yeah, it was a penalty on both teams. It was offensive holding, and it was a defensive pass interference. So they canceled it out. So then obviously it just went back to redo that first down. But I kind of re-looked at that play, and I saw his shin kind of get down, but it looked like he was moving out of bounds, but it was very close to a touchdown. So you're right. He pretty much almost got 2 touchdowns in a row.
On that drive, right? Exactly. I thought that was a touchdown.
Very close.
Yeah. So that gets brought back, and then he still cooks Eli Apple. And like I don't like I said, I don't like the talk of corners getting cooked, because depending on the scheme, you're gonna get caught once or twice. You know what I'm saying? If you're lined up wrong, if you started off somewhere, if you basically, especially going up against fast receivers like Chase,
right? Exactly.
Turn around at the right moment, he's already by you. If he's already lowered his shoulder on the post and he's pretty much already got the leverage, he's just gonna get lower and just by you. But Cooper Kupp was absolutely destroying Eli. The footwork, the finding a way through the seams, the coming down with it and still being able to make the possession, like he was absolutely cooking Eli. And prime example of all of that was on that last play. Literally, to get down the field, he had 4 receptions and 39 yards, 7-yard run on 4th and 1.
True, that too, yeah. Forgot about that.
Drive, exactly.
Forgot about that little run.
That last play, I mean, you've seen it on SportsCenter all week. The behind the back with the right foot stepping up behind the left foot, just to size him up with a little shimmy. Oh,
took him 3 steps to get by him. That's it. 3 steps, and he was behind him. Yep.
He literally broke him down.
Yes.
Standing still. Like that's what at the end of the day, and we're gonna have this debate off season, top receivers. At the end of the day,
That's for sure. You know what? I
he
think we
brings
should.
to us.
I think we should quickly have it at the end of this episode. Not necessarily a long debate, but I think we should quickly talk about it. Who is the best receiver in football right now, standing right now after he won his Super Bowl MVP. But real quick, I wanted to get back into that into the Cincinnati's offense and a lot of things that you were saying. Like I was starting to bring back like some things that I was watching in the game, and you're right. Like they had two long passes, one by Chase, one by T Higgins. If you take those passes away, especially the offensive pass interference, you would be looking at Burrow at like 150 yards offense. Like their offense was stagnant all game. If you take away that pass interference, basically like a pass interference, like you take away that touchdown that T Higgins got because he face masked, and then the second touchdown they got was a running back to wide receiver touchdown. It was Joe Mixon throwing the ball, so it was a trick play. So like if you look at that, like their offense, it was very hard for their offense to get anything on us and anything consistent.
And that pick that came off the receiver's hands helped them get into a scoring position.
Yes.
That's how they actually took the lead. So that's why I said the defense actually played amazing all game when it comes down to holding the Bengals offensive players and stopping them from doing as much damage as they did. So that's what I'm saying. Like the defense to me was, the name of the game. And, obviously Rams goal score that touchdown. Now, mind you, it was the only touchdown scored in the whole fourth quarter.
True.
So at that point, Rams had to score. So Rams goal scored that touchdown, but then the defense came back out. Donald got his sack.
They had a chance.
It's a sack because he threw that away, but it was a sack. Donald got his sack on 4th and 1. He ended it, and at the end of the day, like that's what it came down to. I think it was the defense that won that game.
I mean, everyone knows, like, if Cincinnati would have got those 10 yards, if they would have got that next first down, if Donald wouldn't have, gotten the quarterback in that fourth down, I think everyone knows that McPherson, the kicker, would have gotten that kick, and it would have went to overtime. Like, that kicker for Cincinnati has been like 100%. He's been like 100%, like,
Whether the receiver could have caught it, that would have been a very tough kick.
No, true. I'm not talking about the actual pass. I'm just saying if they would have got 10 yards, like it's not like if the kicker would have got a chance, I'm saying there's no way they wouldn't have gone to overtime. If they would have gave him a decent chance, like a 55-yard kick, I feel like he would have made that, or even like 56-yarder, he would have made that. He's made that all like playoffs. He's been getting them literally out of games all playoffs, their kicker. But got to give it again to Matthew Stafford. Got to give him a lot of props because I know he threw those two interceptions. Like I said, the first one that he threw in the end zone was definitely his fault. He overthrew the receiver a little bit and was definitely on him. But that second one thrown to Skandrick, just off the receiver's hand. So I can't really take that away from him. But real quick, I wanted to ask, do you think that they got the Super Bowl MVP right? Do you think it should have been like somebody else or maybe a co-MVP like a Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp, or maybe they just got it totally wrong? Could have been Stafford. What do you think about that?
So we definitely, I think, both chose Stafford.
We did, yeah. And I did say OBJ if he would have got 2 touchdowns, but he didn't get it.
I think I gave Stafford, what was it, 26 for 41, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, a pick. Very, very, very optimistic I was.
I mean, he had a higher scoring game, but, definitely something that could have happened. I had Stafford at 336 yards, so I definitely had him throwing a lot too, but I had him throwing an interception and, getting 3 touchdowns. So I was
right. He ended up 26 for 40, and I said 26 for 41.
Very close, man.
That's. I'll be honest. I did a very extensive research on that pick, and it's weird as it sounds. He throws close to that very often.
Yeah, he does. That's his average is like 288. He's top 5 in history of NFL for per game average. He's at 288 yards. So, like, in the history of the NFL, he's a beast. But he
got 283 yards.
Right.
3 touchdowns with 2 picks. And obviously one of those wasn't his. The one who won MVP was Cooper Kupp. 8 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. The only other person in
conversation.
or conversation. Exactly, was Aaron Donald, 3 tackles, 1 assisted, 2 for
Right.
loss, including 2 sacks with
2
3
sacks.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, that last play of the game could be considered like almost a sack, and it won you the game. I mean, that's the biggest play of the game.
It was basically a sack. I mean, he got it off. But
Right, but still, I mean, basically, like to end the game, like that's a huge play. That's a walk off. You know, for a defensive player, that's a walk off. You know, so yeah. What do you think? You think they got it right?
It's tough because the second pick wasn't his fault. But I really thought Stafford should have got it. At the end of the day, Cooper Kupp wasn't throwing to himself on that flawless drive. He didn't give him that no look. You know, Stafford put it off on the right shoulder exactly where it needed to be. Like, Stafford was absolutely magical when it counted. Yeah, he only had 283 yards, but I think he was a very crucial part, clearly, of that last drive. So I think he should have won it. I don't know, especially the way Aaron Donald's been performing in the playoffs altogether. He also made a strong case. So it's really hard because there's 3 of them, and I can't even go wrong. But I'm not gonna let them. At the end of the day, my man had 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown. So it is good.
See, I would have
the mistake. He made a lot of that possible. The throw was perfect, but he got himself in perfect position. So I'll let him keep it. I'll give it to Cooper Kupp.
Okay, to Cooper Kupp. See, I mean, I kind of agree with you about like Stafford. I think that Stafford, he played decent, especially that last drive was like one of the greatest offensive quarterback drives from a quarterback you're going to get in the fourth quarter. They used up time. He made all like the plays. He had like a percentage of like 148 QBR just in that drive. So, great drive for him. And that's the type of drive you want in the Super Bowl. It's a memorable thing for him. And I do believe that they probably should have gave it to him just because that second interception really wasn't his fault. What I would have liked to happen was co-MVP, have Stafford and Aaron Donald, and I wouldn't have probably even gave it to Cooper Kupp. I know he had a great impact in the game, especially that second touchdown was amazing. I mean, we both talked about it. Like, he actually played Eli Apple very well. I just think that, if you give it like Stafford and, Stafford made the touchdown to have us up, and then Aaron Donald made the play to win the game. So I think that would have been nice for both guys. But, hey, I'm not mad at whoever got it, to be honest.
Man, no, I definitely hear you. So definitely great game, obviously. Great Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
But of course, that pick just begs the question of a person who was basically unknown.
Yeah.
An average at the beginning. Beginning of the.
Oh, I don't know, bro. Yo, I had him on fantasy last year.
So listen, that's the only way he was known.
Yeah,
because of fantasy.
I feel you.
And because when you have someone, pretty much not even with Stafford, but even with Jared Goff, he's gonna like that's it. But other than that,
king. He's a reception king for sure.
Other than that, no one really had much to this man's name.
Hey, I mean, I've been a fan of him for a time, bro. But I mean, we've been talking about him this season. We actually had this conversation earlier in the season. Who is the best wide receiver? We had it around like week 10. We were both like seeing great things from Cooper Kupp. He was breaking records at that point, and I think both times
we both chose Devonte Adams.
We both chose Devonte Adams at that point, and that's why I just wanted to bring it back real quick and just have like a quick conversation about it. At this point, after he had this amazing season, 2,400 yards, he won the Offensive Player of the Year. He had the Triple Crown: most touchdowns, most receptions, and most yards. Basically first in every category, wide receiver category, plus the Super Bowl MVP. Would you put him as the number 1 receiver in the NFL right now?
So before the Super Bowl, I would have said no. Mm-hmm. Because I'm literally saying, like, I understand what he brings to the table, but like the physicality, like at the end of the day, the physicality that Devonte Adams has, like you can't tell Cooper Kupp to just go up and get it.
Yeah.
Over the top corners in the league.
Not everybody, right? Maybe Eli Apple, but not everybody.
No, that's what I'm saying, but not the top corners in the league. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust him going to get over Jalen Ramsey. You know what I'm saying? But like that's why you've had receivers like D-Hop and Devonte Adams always at the top of those lists, and Julio Jones because of the pure physicality of
True.
those
Jamar
huge
Chase now,
receivers.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, they're fast, they're agile, they're strong. But none of them come with better footwork than
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp.
man. Yeah.
And that's what's setting him apart because he's not faster than everyone, he's not stronger than everyone, but he has the best footwork and he finds a way to get open every single time. So, oh, on the spot.
Yeah, man. It's tough. I know it's a tough one. It
So
really
I'm
is.
gonna
They're
have
like
to
so
choose
close too.
Cooper Kupp because
Wow.
at the end of the day, depending on the situation, I feel like okay, like so the one thing I'll probably choose is a right post fade, less than 10 to 15 yards out. I'll choose Devontae over that. But every other situation, I expect Cooper Kupp to get more separation from that cornerback. Like if I gotta choose a one-on-one receiver and choose one receiver and basically that's how everyone really thinks about it. Best receiver, choose one receiver and just put their skills up one-on-one against the best corner. Which
Yes. Yeah.
receiver is winning? 7 or 10 times. Who's winning the most
Hmm.
out of the other person.
Exactly.
Unless that situation is specifically geared to a goal line situation, I think at this point you would have to choose Cooper Kupp because in any other situation he's gonna find a way to get open, especially on one.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I
Yeah,
mean, you know what? Before the playoffs, even I definitely would have said Devonte Adams. But
100%.
I mean, watching the playoffs, like how methodical he's been. And the one thing I even liked in the Super Bowl,
Is to stop the man who literally won a triple crown throughout the season, and they still
you would
couldn't do it.
think, you would think.
That's
Plus,
the whole point.
especially in the Super Bowl when OBJ is out, Tyler Higbee's out, Robert Woods is out, you're gonna have
Who else is
three
on the
guys
block?
on him. Right, you better have
Literally.
three guys on him, but he still got four receptions in the last drive of the game. So I mean, you kind of got to give it to him at this point. Like I know Devonte Adams is physically better. He's physically a better receiver. He's 6'5", a little bit bigger in size. Cooper Kupp's around like 6'2", 6'3". So yeah, physically, Devonte Adams is probably your man. If you wanted to, I mean, if you're looking to like draft for potential, Devonte Adams is still young as well. They're both young, so I can't really look at their potential like any projection to know really what they can be because I mean you see how much of a leap Cooper Kupp took. Like we know
Right.
what Devonte Adams is, but we see
We
what
finally
type
had
of
a quarterback.
exactly with a good
Always had.
quarterback, a good receiver is made to a great receiver, and I think he was already great. He was just young, but now like I said, he won the triple crown, got most yards, most receptions, most touchdowns. That hasn't happened since Jerry Rice. I mean, that's a name that not many receivers get to like touch, So for him, I got to give him props for this season. I would like to see it one more time. If he does it back-to-back seasons, around 2,000 yards, then I will put him up there as the number one receiver. I do think right now he is. I think right now at this point you got to put him there. But I think if most people were to start a franchise, they probably still would pick Devonte Adams.
Right.
And a guy like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson coming from behind too. But honestly, I mean, you got to give it to Cooper. He's not the most explosive, but sometimes he just gets like you just like look at the screen and he's just like open, and you don't know how he's open. Like he gets behind the guy and he's open. And I did want to shoot this by you and see if you think that this theory is correct, but I kind of feel like a guy like Cooper Kupp, um, he's kind of similar to what a black quarterback is. I mean, for a black quarterback, to be an MVP, he has to be perfect. Like he literally has to be perfect. He can't do anything wrong. So he does have to do just a little bit more. Like you haven't really seen a wide receiver do it many times. I mean, I know a few years ago there was that one stretch where Adam Thielen had like 9 games, 100 yards in a row, and people weren't really giving him props. But a guy like Cooper Kupp, to be doing it pretty consistent for the last 2 years, especially at this level, above everyone else, like Calvin Johnson, Jerry Rice numbers. I mean, I think it's hard for people to like put him over the top like that. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I agree with you. For the simple fact that the only way that we keep choosing Devonte Adams over Cooper Kupp is because is his pure physicality.
Right. He's a physical
Like,
specimen. I'll give it to him.
no, and that's the only reason why we keep choosing people like that, because we literally look at them both eye to eye. It's like there's no way this guy
Right.
is
It's
a better.
better. Right.
Like the man is shorter, he's
True.
smaller,
That's true.
he's skinny. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people don't want to give him the props. And so I definitely see that. It's definitely the same disrespect that they were giving Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray when
Exactly.
they first came into the league. I 100% see that. And that's
Exactly.
why I said it. I didn't even want to admit it until the Super Bowl. But as I said, I watched play after play where he broke down the defense, found a way to get open, and it's like, damn, like there ain't no way that they don't see this coming. Like, how, like it's a Super Bowl, most important game of the year. You're not telling me that you're not leaving nobody to shadow besides Eli Apple.
He
And
literally,
he was breaking everyone down, man.
I mean, he literally won his 2 games in a row. Like the NFC Championship game, he got that the third down and like 13 in the last 3 minutes of the game when we needed it, and he got us that first down. And then right now in the Super Bowl, he just got that touchdown to put us over the top. So 2 games in a row to win us basically a Super Bowl in the last 20 years that we haven't won. And yeah, I was with you. I wouldn't have picked him before the playoffs, but for now, I'm gonna stick with him, and I'll have to see what happens with Devontae, because I mean, you got to see him with a different quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't stay with Devontae,
he's been where he's been straight because he's had an elite quarterback, and like you said, it finally took Cooper Kupp getting a good quarterback for us to see his skills.
True.
Because before this year, I promise, no one cared about Cooper Kupp. And that might be for the reason you just mentioned, but no one cared about him. Even if he was average, us at fantasy, we know who he was. We was getting points from him. But as a top receiver, he wasn't even top 10 at that. Literally before this year, he wasn't even considered top 10.
You're right.
Literally wasn't even considered top 10. And now at this point, he's a triple crown, and everyone are debating whether he's the best receiver in the league. So.
Yeah. But you know what?
We gotta give him one more year. I'll be honest. We gotta give him one more year.
That's what I was gonna say.
It can't be that Wes Welker effect with Tom Brady.
Right, but one thing about Stafford is Stafford knows how to make receivers. Remember, like that Calvin Johnson, when he was with in Detroit with Calvin Johnson, Calvin Johnson had that record-breaking year, almost 2,000 yards, and now he just did it with Cooper Kupp. So he can make receivers great as well.
Granted, Calvin Johnson.
Oh, definitely on another level.
My man was getting double team off ripped and still running through both of them.
And see, that's a physical specimen with the footwork.
Exactly.
With the speed. My man just played 8 years and then
the way Stafford's gonna give the ball where you need to get it.
Right.
As long as you do your job and get open.
But I mean, from one physical specimen, Calvin Johnson, to another, and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I mean, what do you think about the Bengals for next year? I mean, they lost the game, but they're looking like a young team. Do you think that they're going to be back in the playoffs next year? What do you think about them?
Oh yeah, they're the best team in the AFC.
Oh wow, damn! You don't trust the Titans or the Bills at all.
No, Bills are the second.
Okay.
Chiefs are the first.
No KC in there.
No, KC is the first.
Third.
Bills are the second. I think the Bengals are the third. I don't trust the Titans until they get another quarterback.
Yeah,
they get an average quarterback, they're right back in 3 because it's Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? But no, until we see what the Titans are doing, the Bengals literally just went to the Super Bowl. They got to be the third best team. I think they have the 4th best odds behind Bills, Chiefs, and Rams to run it back. They need to throw everything they have into a goddamn O-line. Simple as that. They spent the last year or two revamping that defense, and it held them down when it needed to. Got a great young quarterback in Joe Burrows. I'm going to get me a Burrows jersey next year. Nobody cares. Mind your business. Leave me alone. I don't care if they just went to the Super Bowl and lost. Your boy might just be a Bengals fan. Just let it live. And then definitely a top receiver, decent running game. All they freaking need is that O-line, and they're back in contention. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that they're going to make the playoffs. I just don't know if it's going to be a division winner. I mean, they got a tough division, bro. I mean, think about it.
Playoffs, and those, I don't want to say lucky, but it was a very good run.
Right.
Runs are runs for a reason. They don't last.
You didn't have to play.
That's what I'm saying. They got a lucky run. Yeah.
They had to play one tough
team. Yeah.
Next year it might not be that.
Exactly. Like you said, next year they might not even win the division.
But that's the thing. Like,
let Lamar come back.
That's what I think that Ravens are going to be better. They had no running game this year. Lamar Jackson was injured. I think they're going to be better. You don't know what's going to happen with Pittsburgh. Are they going to get a top quarterback like Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers even? I mean, and
And
I
then
mean,
going to that.
a lot of people had the Browns last year as Super Bowl
Hey,
contenders.
if you get
So
to
I
get
mean,
Baker Mayfield, put him on the bench. I don't care how much money you pay him. You get a more than average quarterback in Cleveland. You winning some things.
you get Joe Nobody in there like that.
Anybody,
Yeah,
literally, you get anyone who can throw, they consistently.
yeah.
You're winning some things, man. So hey, yeah, Bengals definitely gonna have a
So
tough
that's
chance,
what
but
I'm
they're going to
saying.
get third
Like
overall
for
in
me,
the
that's
AFC.
I got them as a wild card team next year because I do think it's going to be a little bit tougher for them. I think the Bengals, or sorry, the Ravens are going to come out hot.
Oh, we got to see with the offseason because
For
right
sure.
now, no one knows what the Browns are doing. They still got Baker for one more year. If they got Baker
True.
for one more year, don't even count them in division.
True.
Rams, I'm not Rams, Ravens.
Yeah, man.
Very iffy on what to do when Lamar is injured. They have no other way of putting any points on the board.
Yeah,
That's you
but
know. What I mean?
that's a
So
lot of teams, though. It's a lot of teams with top quarterbacks. A lot, especially that rely that much on their quarterback. Like, I
but
mean,
yeah,
look
I
what.
can see making it at least as a wild card, worst case.
Yeah, I mean, look what Green Bay like this year when they had Jordan Love. They only scored 13 points with Jordan Love. Like they don't know how to score without Aaron Rodgers, and they had the same team out there.
Yeah,
So
but
you
even
never
then,
know.
teams they had Lamar doing it themselves. They were barely winning by 2 or 3 points for a couple weeks in a row.
That's very
And
true.
two of those 4 weeks, I'm pretty sure they made a gutsy call instead of tying the game. They
They
tried to
went for,
win and ended up
yeah,
losing. So
yeah. I
like
remember that they
it's
went for two. Yeah, instead of going for the tie or for the tie. Yeah, and they lost that. But I mean, it happens sometimes. But for sure, I think it's gonna be tougher for Cincinnati. Like that's for sure. It's gonna be a tougher road next year.
hey, they didn't even expect to be here. So just go improve on what you need to improve and keep working out. As simple as that. They shouldn't be upset.
Perhaps
I mean,
not
obviously upset, you know what I'm saying? But
a little
like
bit. But you
as
know
an
what?
you
I definitely can
exceeded
support them too a little bit.
expectations for the year. Because at the end of the day, you're not an organization should be setting realistic expectations. And if I'm with a
Right.
team like Cincinnati, my expectation and is I don't care how it sounds, you're gonna say yes, let's win a Super Bowl. But the realistic expectation is let's get to the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can't
You know
make the
what I'm
Super Bowl
saying?
every year. Like you're not Kansas City
Exactly.
or
It's
you
the
ain't
playoffs. I like to win the division, something that's more in they won
reasonable.
division,
Hmm.
went to the playoffs. I'm sure some of their higher ups is like, all right, we can make some noise. And I'm sure those people on that team was like, all right, I don't think we're gonna win no damn Super Bowl, but let's go out there and play our hearts out. And
I
they did
mean,
that week after week after week after week until they found themselves in the Super Bowl. Simple as that.
true.
So yeah, they got some dogs over there.
Joe Burrow's confident though. I mean, right after the Super Bowl, he
He
came
is.
out in the interview and he said like, "We're gonna be back. Don't worry, we got a young team. We're gonna be back."
He
So
is confident, but like he can't speak for that offensive line. So
not at all. That's what they need, and you're totally right. I think they need that offensive line and then that back six. Switch out Eli Apple out of there, and we'll see what they can do. But as far as the NFL season as a whole, I mean, it's our first year of the podcast, and I think we did this is our first basically full season of a sports
yep.
league that we did, all 18 weeks playoffs and now Super Bowl. So I mean, what'd you think of the NFL season,
That
playoffs
was a
and
hell
everything?
of a season. Like you said, we teased the NBA playoffs last year. Did a couple off-season episodes before we started with the NFL. First full season, we cover preseason, we cover regular, we cover post, and obviously we're gonna cover a lot of off-season stuff. So it was a great season. You know, me and you already been in the talks about a lot of new
Sure.
ways and new things for next season.
Hmm.
So it's good to have some fans stuck with us through a whole season, and definitely good to have our content out there and just like I love what we put out there this year. So I was definitely
That's for
excited
sure.
for the end of the NFL season, ready to get back into basketball full swing.
That's for
Obviously, like
sure.
off season NFL stuff. The fans got to let us know what they want to hear. We got to see where these teams are headed, where these top free agency and trades are going down.
Yep.
Definitely gonna be there for all of it. So
Yeah, man.
love, man.
Me too, man. Our first year of the podcast, and my team won. I think it might just be good luck that we started this podcast and the Rams
Oh,
won. It might be good
cool.
luck. So we'll see if we keep doing the podcast, they're gonna keep winning. So I'm gonna definitely keep talking about them throughout the off season. Like you said, there's gonna be a lot of topics that we're gonna get through. But I mean, we gotta move it on to another sport, and in the off season we got a lot of things to talk about. So for sure we're gonna talk about basketball, boxing, UFC, a lot of that, and like you said, NFL draft soon, and of course free agency. But what a great episode! What a great season, great NFL season, and great talking to you about it. It's been great debating back and forth about different topics in NFL,
Oh
and
yes.
we'll definitely get back to it on another episode of Who You Got. We want to definitely ask you guys to check us out on YouTube if you want to watch the full episode. If you want to listen to us, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And if you guys want to ask questions, you know where to find us, right?
Exactly, man. Like I said, off season's coming on. Yes, off season coming on. So we
Yep.
definitely want to get into all the topics. Just because the season end for the NFL don't means we stop. And as y'all can see, this was such a competitive season. We got a lot of teams that were just on the cusp of winning that are trying to make moves for next year. So I'm already trying to look forward to it. I know those teams are already
That's for sure.
back at the drawing board. So definitely hear about it all here on Who You Got. So that's what we're here for, man.
Exactly. So we really appreciate you guys listening to Who You Got with
Melo
and Rado. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Rams are Super Bowl champions, baby!
Hey.